All right, so today we're diving into a really fascinating argument. It connects the kind of corporate green marketing you see absolutely everywhere with a much, much deeper question. What does it actually take to change? We're going to go from the PR department all the way to the heart of how we perceive the world. So let's start with something you've probably noticed yourself. We'll call it the greenwashing illusion. You know, that growing gap between what companies say they're doing for the planet and what they're really doing behind the scenes. Yeah, you've definitely seen this in action. We're talking about greenwashing. It's that classic move where companies paint this beautiful, glossy, eco-friendly picture of themselves. But often, it's just a cover for practices that are, well, anything but sustainable. So, why do they do it? Honestly, it's pretty simple economics. Just look at these numbers from Korea. Public concern for the environment is through the roof. And people are putting their money where their mouth is, buying products that they think align with their values. For a company, that's a huge financial incentive to look as green as possible. Our source for this explainer uses a perfect phrase for it: green camouflage. And just think about that for a second. Camouflage isn't just about looking good. It's a deliberate tactic to hide something right there in plain sight. It kind of uses our own good intentions against us, all for the sake of profit. And the fallout from this creates a really nasty, vicious cycle. You've got consumers who are being misled, you have the genuinely eco-friendly companies that get punished in the market, and all of this allows the real damage to just keep going on behind this green curtain, which in the end just destroys everyone's trust in any environmental claim. Now, in response to this growing trust problem, a more formal system has started to take hold. It's called ESG. It stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. And it's basically a framework designed to hold companies accountable for more than just their bottom line. And this is the core question of our whole explainer today. The source asks something really critical. Are frameworks like ESG actually leading to fundamental, deep-down change? Or are they just a more sophisticated, more convincing type of green camouflage? So how do we even begin to answer that? Well, this is where the whole argument takes a really interesting turn. It suggests that to understand what real change looks like, we have to stop looking at the corporate boardroom and start looking at, well, the human heart. The concept they propose is called ecological conversion. And listen, this has nothing to do with corporate policies or better PR. It's about a profound internal shift in our values, a complete transformation in how we see the world and our place in it. Okay, I know, that sounds pretty abstract, right? A profound internal shift. So to make it more concrete, the source uses a powerful ancient story as a kind of metaphor for what this deep change actually looks like in practice. It's the story of a man named Zacchaeus, and it breaks down into 4 really key steps. First, he has an obstacle. He's too short to see over the crowd. So he does something pretty radical to get a new perspective. He climbs a tree. From up there, he has an encounter that was just impossible from down on the ground. And that one moment sparks a complete 180-degree transformation in his life and his actions. The secret ingredient to this story, according to our source, is a Greek concept called metanoia. Now, it's often translated as repentance, but it literally means beyond the mind. It's not just about feeling sorry for something. It's about a fundamental rewiring of your perception, a change in the very way you see and think about everything. So here's the crucial point. Zacchaeus climbing that tree, that wasn't just a physical act. It was a metaphor for the intentional, sometimes really difficult effort it takes to break out of our default point of view and get this new transformative way of seeing things. He had to literally get above the noise to find clarity. Okay, so if that's what this change looks like for one person, how does that scale up? The source argues that this individual metanoia is the perfect model for a kind of collective responsibility, a group confession, if you will, about our shared environmental impact. And you can see a modern example of this in the Korean Methodist Church's Climate Crisis Declaration. This is basically metanoia on a massive collective scale. I mean, look at this quote. It's an entire group admitting a fundamental failure. They're saying,
We confused economic growth with a blessing, and we completely ignored its true cost to the planet.
This declaration even breaks their collective repentance down into 3 core failures: a failure of duty to protect the world around them, a failure of perception, which is exactly what we just saw in that quote, mistaking destruction for blessing, and finally, a failure of mission, chasing one kind of growth while completely forgetting a deeper ecological responsibility. So, let's bring these 2 huge ideas together for a final showdown. On one side, we have the corporate illusion of greenwashing, and on the other, the profound personal shift of ecological conversion. And here it is, the core argument in a nutshell. Greenwashing is all external, right? It's image management. It's a surface polish designed to hide harm and maximize profit. Ecological conversion is the polar opposite. It's an internal shift in your actual values that actively wants to repair harm, and it's driven by a deep, deep sense of responsibility. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway. The source is arguing that things like image laundering and other surface-level fixes, no matter how clever they are, just can't solve a crisis this big. Real, lasting solutions demand that deeper internal shift in how we see, how we value, and, as a result, how we act.
So we're left with this one final, really provocative thought that brings the metaphor back to all of us. If real change truly starts with getting a new perspective, then what is the tree that we, as individuals, as companies, as a whole society, need to climb to finally see our world and our place in it clearly?